The market rockets higher on Friday before selling a bit on Sunday. Is it all bull from here? This is Invest with Jacob. Okay, guys, so in last Friday's video, we were looking for continuation to the downside from the bears, but they were unable to do so, and the bulls squeezed them hard up to the top of our resistance box to close out the week. Now the question is it all bull from here? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, so before we jump into the charts, I want to use this time to highlight how important the live room is that we have. These videos are just a snapshot in time, and when I record them, I give the analysis of what the market is showing at that time. However, by the time we wake up the next day, the market could have changed quite a bit. And as you can see on the screen, very early in the day, I said I was skeptical of a meltdown in the market because it was holiday trading and the price action that I saw. So we got long and did very well. As you can see, some traders did very well on their own. And this is the importance of those live updates. People want to jump in and tell me how wrong I am, but it's not about what the video says as we do record these the day before. It's about the real-time analysis and the real trading that happens off of that analysis, and that's how we make money. So if you're interested in that live room and being part of a winning team, stay tuned for later in the video. For now, let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the daily futures chart for the S&P 500, and nothing has really changed in the big picture. I've been saying for a couple weeks now, the pullback will tell the story, and that is still the truth. The difference is how high this A wave has pushed. So if this is an A wave, okay, which it most likely is because in both counts it should be an A wave, it's up to the 618 retrace basically, and that's pretty high for an A wave. A waves typically target the 382 to 50% retrace, and we're now above both of those heading into the 618. So the pullback for me still tells the story, and here are a couple things, right? Is it possible that we can get an A, B, C, and then a C wave up, and then down from there in 1 of 3, 2 of 3 in the breakdown? Absolutely. That is a possibility. However, if we do get a 3-wave pullback from wherever we pull back from, if it's Monday and we start the pullback off this selling that they've started, if we start to pull back here, okay, and it's 3 waves, I will start to lean toward the bullish count. And the reason for that is this move up is an A wave in all counts on the ES. And the reason for that is it's either a corrective move in wave 2, which would be an ABC, so this would be A, okay, or in the bullish count, you have wave 4 here down into wave 1 territory, which is what you would expect for a diagonal to play out, as this being a 4 and a 5 up for an ending diagonal. So essentially what we'd be looking at here, guys, is off of this top, this wave 5 would move over, and this would be a deep 4 off of wave 3, okay? And this whole move up for wave 5 would be an ending diagonal where you have a 3-wave move up here for 1, then you have wave 2, and then you have A, B, C for 3, then you have 4 back into wave 1 territory, which you would expect, and then an A, B, C for 5 up toward the 4,900 to 5,000 area for a slightly new high. So overall, we would be looking for this as a bull count in 3-wave moves because it would be a large ending diagonal, okay, back off of the COVID lows. So that would be the bull count, and because we've come up to the 618, which is really high for an A wave, it does lean more toward the bull count if what we get here is an ABC down. If we get an ABC down, we'll see what happens as we move higher. They can still hold the 764 here at about 45.13. They can do that and still get a 1 of 3, 2 of 3 and break down. However, I would be more bullish than bearish at that time. So if the pullback from wherever we decide to pull back from gives us a solid 5 waves down, that would be very bearish, and I'd be looking lower. If it's 3 waves, I would start to look more as a bullish count and start to look much higher up toward the 49 to 5,000 area to complete a bigger ending diagonal, and then we should see a pretty strong sell-off because that would be a large diagonal completing up to new all-time highs. So in the big picture, we're still looking at this as a potential wave 2, or we're trying to get a potential wave 5 to end up here around the 5,000 area to end a larger ending diagonal for wave 5 here, where this peak would be wave 3, you'd have wave 4 down, and then wave 5 up. So let's drill down into the 1 hour. Okay, guys, so we're drilled into the hourly chart here, and they've started selling right off the top of that resistance box that I drew in a while ago. Told you that this was a heavy resistance area. So right off the top of that box, they've started to sell down here. And what we're looking for right now when we wake up in the morning will be they pulled back. Were they able to start pushing back higher and make this pullback a 4 and this a 5? So if we put in our numbers here for our waves, we would look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back up toward this trend line, which would be around 44.50 or so, 44.55, somewhere in that range. Come up, hit this trend line, and then start to come down. That's a possibility we would look for. If they continue selling and we wake up in the morning and they're pushing down further than this, and it would be lower than the 382. So if we bring in our fib retracement, we can see that the 382 is about 44.04. So if they're starting to trade below 43.94, that'd be about as deep as we'd allow it to go to be a wave 4. If they start trading below that, then we can start to look at this as a potentially bigger pullback. Now, before we say that, okay, we can still see this as all of wave 3 and then a wave 4 and 5 like this. Okay, so for this to be a bigger pullback, for us to understand that a bigger pullback is taking place, they need to come down and break this low right here at 43, 54, 55, somewhere in there. They have to break this low, and then they need to break this low. Okay, so that's 43.27. For that's what we'd look for if we're going to see a bigger pullback. That's going to be, you know, either the 3-wave pullback or 5-wave pullback that we're looking for. And if you remember, 3 waves would be bullish, and we'd start to lean much more bullish based on the height of wave A. Okay, and 5 waves would be bearish. So if we start to sell down here and we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they continue with a wave 2, 3, 4, and 5 like that, that would be a bearish pullback. We'd look for a bounce and then a meltdown after that. So the pullback again on ES is what I'm really watching to tell the story, because it would be a 5-wave pullback if we're going to start a bigger meltdown, but a 3-wave pullback, okay, if we're going to stay bullish and look higher to potentially new all-time highs. We'll have to see what we get after that, but that would be the idea. So again, the pullback still tells the story. Nothing has really changed. These are micro counts, so we're looking for them to play out a little bit more and to give us a more macro count. And again, 3 waves, bullish, 5 waves, bearish. All right, over on the NASDAQ. Now, if you go back to when ES broke its pivot to the downside, okay, it broke the bull pivot and shifted us into a more bearish looking chart overall. I said that the NQ is still the fly in the ointment. The NQ is your bailout if you're bullish. The NQ is a problem for the bears, and it is remaining a problem. As I said last week, if they push through 15,450, it does make the diagonal less likely. Now, does that mean it's impossible? Does that mean it can't play out? No, it means it's less likely. So it's more likely that this will play out in a bullish manner than it is a bearish manner. So what we're watching here is the ES. Yes, we're on the NASDAQ, and yes, the NASDAQ does have a bullish count, but if the ES gives us a bearish look to the downside, this can still be a diagonal to the downside. We can still have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 1 down here in the red circle. That can still happen. However, it is much less likely with the takeout of the 15,450 area. A true elimination of that possibility is the takeout of this wave 2 high right here, which you would see if we drill in, which we will here shortly at about 15,710. If they break above that in any way, just by a point, that would nullify any diagonal movement to the downside as a potential. So they still do have, we'll call it a puncher's chance to take it to the downside. It's not completely invalidated or eliminated. Okay, we can see this still come down in wave 1. Now, the reason we're looking to the ES to tell us what's going on is because if it's a 3-wave pull, because it's a diagonal, first of all, so we would be playing out a diagonal to the downside. And as I just talked about on ES, diagonals are 3-wave structures where you have A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, then you have 4, and then you would have 5 down, and 4 is back into wave 1 territory as it should be. So 5 down to give us wave 1 would be an ABC. Well, guess what wave 2 is going to be? Wave 2 is going to be an ABC, and that's what makes this kind of charting difficult, because you don't know the difference until you do. It's kind of tough. So if we have an indicator somewhere that would tell us, like say the ES, and we see 5 waves down on the ES, that's a strong indication that we're going to play out the bigger bear count down here towards the 13,600 area for that wave 1 to complete, and then we'd look for a wave 2 bounce after that. If, however, ES gives us 3 waves down, NASDAQ will give us 3 waves into that wave 2 area, and then we'd look for the explosion in NASDAQ up to break out over the high from the summer and ultimately into new all-time high areas where we would get up into the 17,850 area would be the overall target. So the pullback on ES is going to be important for many reasons. It's going to be important for the ES chart. It's going to be important for the NQ chart. And overall, it's going to tell the story. Now, NQ is telling a very bullish story at the moment, while ES is telling a kind of wishy-washy story. So we'll have to see what ES does. But NQ is telling us a bullish story, and it's something to keep an eye on, and it's something that is a fly in the ointment for the bears. So if you're still looking for a meltdown, NQ is your problem, and you really need them to hold under this wave 2 high. Okay, let's drill into the 1-hour chart. Okay, on the NASDAQ chart, we have 2 potentials. Down here at the bottom, this is a pretty ugly start, but it can be a leading diagonal for a wave 1, or it's a wave A. We would have an ABC up for 4, and then we'd look for a bigger meltdown in the bearish count, or we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 count up, okay, where we have a leading diagonal off the low, and NASDAQ is making a wave 1, where we would look for a wave 2 pullback and then up from there. So we'd look for 3 waves down, and then 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and then go. So NASDAQ, again, is telling a bullish story. Breaking over this high was very bullish of them. They can still hold under this wave 2 high here at the 15,750 area. If they can hold under that and start to sell off and bring it down, this can still be a diagonal. However, it's ugly, and I would be skeptical until it proves that it's going to play out to the downside and breaks this low. Once it breaks this low, obviously the bulls are in big trouble, and we'd be heading lower in a big way. So NASDAQ, because of the confusion, or because of the diagonal, which causes confusion, because this right here can be bullish or bearish. If it's bearish, you're going to see an A, a B, and then a C. If it's bullish, this would be ABC, and then you'd be looking for 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and then the breakout to the upside. So this pullback is going to look the same regardless. That's why we're looking at ES to tell the story. Again, 3 waves on ES is bullish, 5 waves is bearish. Guys, if you love the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It'll take you right over to the webpage. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible monthly plans that both come with a 7-day free trial, because I want you to get in there. I want you to become part of our trading team. Make sure you love it. Make sure it's for you before you ever spend a penny. You can cancel at any time. We also have our Elliott Wave for Beginners online course. This course is helping real traders make real money and understand the market in a way that finally makes sense. As you can see below, it is helping our traders very much, and they're starting to understand the market in a way that makes it tradable and understandable and doesn't have you throwing your hands up in the air saying, what the hell just happened? When Powell comes out and is hawkish his entire speech, but the market rockets higher, or we get a CPI print like we did 2 Octobers ago and the market rocketed higher, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But Elliott Wave makes sense of that data by giving you the key levels and the understanding of how the markets work. This course is 25 videos in 3 parts, where I go over the introduction, where we go over Elliott Wave Theory's expectations, the mindset and emotion, the KISS method, and why it works. We go over the chart setup and tools, where I go through every single tool you need to have on your chart, how to use it with Elliott Wave Theory, and how to make it so that you can see these tops, bottoms, and reversals and play the charts the way we do. And then the Elliott Wave for Beginners area, where I go through each of the waves and break them down and show you how they work when they fail, how they fail, what they look like when they fail, what they look like when they work, what the theory of alternation is, the corrective depth theory, the pivot, all these different things that are rooted in technical analysis that will help you understand the market in a way that makes sense. The really cool part is If you don't want to pay the $67, I completely understand. And that's why if you become a monthly member, you get the course for free. In our first room, the Invest with Jacob room, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where I go over each of the counts and what to expect moving forward, as well as the training material you just saw. We trade the SPY and the QQQ, and we swing in day trade, which means we trade quite often in my room. However, if you're looking for futures trading, individual stocks, and advanced training methods, you need to check out PET's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as individual stocks, futures trading, and PT's reduced risk binary method that absolutely crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you huge multiples on your money, and it's how he structures these trades. It's so unique. Something you really have to see to understand, and that's another reason we give you that 7-day free trial. He also started a challenge account where he put $4,000 into an account, trading mini ES futures, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we would love to have you in these rooms so we can all make money together. All right, the key takeaways for today. For both charts, the pullbacks tell the story. We're looking for a pullback. It looks like they're starting to potentially give us one again. This can be a 4 or 5 up. It can be a bigger 4 or 5, but they need to break this low here at 43.54 to give us a strong indication that a bigger pullback is taking place, and that's really the one we care about. The bigger pullback, if it's 3 waves, that is bullish. If it's 5 waves, that is bearish. Okay? That is going to be the key on both charts. Over on the NASDAQ, same principle. The difference is the NASDAQ is still in a diagonal state, and so we are either looking at the potential for a 3-wave pullback in a wave 2, and then a 1 of 3, 2 of 3 go, or a 3-wave pullback in a wave A that gives us an A, B, C for A, and then a B, and then a meltdown to the 13,600 area. And this is why we're looking at the ES's pullback to tell us the story for all of the charts, not just the ES. Guys, that is your market update for today. I will talk to you tomorrow.